any questions? Can I ask, or can I wait for any questions here at this time here, or should we go?
We did have one question come in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any easy to use / implement tools / apps that would be good to use that you know of?
Yeah, for what though? To do what? To shoot, or to do what exactly?
The person did not specify.
Okay.
I think it was Nazira Sheikh. If you can please, specify. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Yeah. Meanwhile, while she's specifying.
Okay. So I kind of think I know what she's talking about, and this is the second part of what I was going to talk about here. The third part of video production here, we talked about camera, we talked about audio, the importance of it, and we talked about lighting. This is the fourth part of it, which is the actual editing part of video. Now, editing is I don't want to say it's an art. It really is not something that anyone can learn. You can be artsy about it, but it's really a mechanical way of just putting together a number of shots and a number of cameras together, so you can actually come up with an overall product, right? Like an actual cultural product, right? And you don't have to know to use it. A lot of people always say, well, I don't want to mosques, they get worried about this. They don't want to shoot anything because they don't have somebody to edit it. And I say to them, listen, there are freelancers that you can get. I don't know if you've heard of Fiverr. Fiverr is this amazing website where you can get people to do things for you for $5. You can get editors to edit for you productions that you have produced in your mosque and stuff, and make it really look polished, really look really nice for very cheap. And it's something that you should invest in, to be honest with you. Ideally, the best thing to do is for you to hire someone from your community to do it. But if you can't, and I understand that certain mosques, they just don't have that kind of money, you can actually go and hire a freelancing, videographer or even editor to do it, right? And the other part about editing that's really good is that it adds this branding and it makes your message concise. Editing cuts all these ahs and ums that I'm going out with right now. So a video that is 3 minutes of your imam or of your sheikh or of your masjid management, where he's thinking about the right words to say, and he keeps repeating and saying certain things so he can come up with the actual precise message that he has. An editor can take that 5-minute video and give it to you in 30 seconds, which is always better. I'm telling you guys, there is nothing khairul kalami ma qalla wa dalla. This is the crucial thing that you should always have, even in videos. Even if your video is amazing in the way that it actually looks and the way that it's actually shot, shorter is better. To the point is always better. You'll never ever have any problems with a video that does that goes to the point. Distribution of the actual video production stuff. And I think this is where the question Sister Nazara probably had. You have to begin you have to begin the production of your video itself with the distribution process in mind. It's never good to not know where your video is going to go and you're shooting it. It's just a terrible thing. It can happen because sometimes we don't know where, which platform it's going to go on, but we at least know where it's going to be. We know whether the video is a social media produced video or whether it's a TV produced video. We have to make that distinction, and that has to happen before, because that's the part of the pre-planning for the actual production stuff. So a lecture, for instance, that is going to go on to YouTube, to me, has to be shot differently than a lecture that's going to be shot for Instagram. For sure. The way that the video itself is framed, the way itself, the video stabilized, the way the audio is captured, and also the message itself that the person himself is actually saying. They're completely two different platforms, and they're actually aimed towards different people, right? I'll talk about this a little bit, I guess, right? But let's go back to this whole idea of distribution. Streaming versus posting. Are you going to stream this video, or are you going to post it? Is it going to be a short video? Is it a long video? Is it interactive, where you want people to speak back and forth to you? Is it one way? Is it formal? Is it informal? And these are the kind of things that you have to think about when you're actually producing the content itself. Very good. So let's talk about, oops, I did this a little too much here, went too fast. Output in mind, we said, platforms have specific uses and target markets. Facebook, I don't know how I can say this to you, but if you think Facebook, like if you think you're hip because you're in Facebook, you're old now. This is the way that it is. I remember when I joined Facebook, it was the beginning of times. I was fresh when I was young. And now my daughter, who's 12 years old, for instance, tells me that nobody watches Facebook anymore. And I'm like, what? Facebook? Facebook is the coolest thing. Well, no, Baba, you're just old. Like, and that's how that's how times come about. And now I know exactly how my parents used to feel when I used to say that to them, right? Instagram is where it's at for younger youth, I guess. Twitter, it holds more of, even though that's not always true, but Twitter likes to think it's hosting intellectual debates and talks. And YouTube is basically for posting longer videos, right? And highly produced videos now. I mean, before, when YouTube actually started out, it was meant for amateur production, right? But now, TV shows actually have YouTube channels, and those YouTube channels are huge in terms of the number of stuff. And all of this is a part of I guess, really the fall of the normal television, right? Like, that's no longer the case. I know in the Muslim community that's not the case yet, but overall, television is no longer the trend. It's going downhill, and it's losing a lot. Even though it's still king, by the way. So television is still king, but it is going downhill. Okay. Platforms, when it comes to postings and stuff like that, they're really cool because you can actually choose and select what time you want to schedule a post to come out. And this is really important because if you're a mosque, for instance, and you want to have like you know that your congregants, for instance, go to work in the morning time, they commute in the morning time, then you can post certain things for them to actually watch in their commute in the morning time. So these are the things that in the morning time, so that Adhkar al-Sabah, Quranic recitations in the morning time, all these kinds of things that would go in these times, right? And then that they get a break at 12 o'clock. So you're delivering what they actually need at specific times that that they themselves are going to be available. And nowadays, like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they actually are able to give you analytics on when your congregants, people who, your followers, when are they watching your stuff? When are they looking for you? And so on and so forth. And you can use software. There's this Hootsuite, for instance. I think it's one of the most famous ones. But we actually, at Nabaga Media and Production and Agency, we have our own Nabaga Suite, which is also shameless plug, but it is cheaper than Hootsuite, and it's better than Hootsuite. And it's actually the way that we were working on it actually works better for a lot of for Muslims, really, in a sense, because it has, I'll talk to people more about this if they actually are interested in this, but I don't want to make this into a plugin for our services.
Brother Mamoon, I believe Nazira typed in her question. She specified, she said, my husband and I operate a madrasa, Toronto Hifd Academy, and Ismail would like to create short 2 to 3 minute daily audio/video with a summary of Taraweeh in English. He and his students will be leading Taraweeh in their homes, but he would like to continue the practice of doing these daily reminders. We both have iPhones, and my daughter DSLR camera that we can use. We would like to create the content in our home or at the madrasa unit. There's good audio/background there.
Yeah. Okay. So then it seems like she has all that she kind of needs anyways, right? In terms of the, I don't know. I didn't hear if she has any. Can I actually jump out and see her question? Would I be able to do that, you think? Yeah, I can hear. Okay. So, this is Sister Nazira Sheikh. I know her. So yeah, I mean, create 2 to 3 short daily videos, summary. Oh, you guys are seeing how crazy my my thing is looking like here, right? So it seems to me like you already have everything that you actually need here, right? In terms of the capturing of the actual video itself. What you need to do is you need to find somewhere to capture the audio, because it doesn't seem to me like you have a way, you don't have a good mic in a sense that you're saying there, right? But I don't know if she's asking for a specific like way to do it, but it seems like she has everything that she actually needs to do there. So if she's looking for a software to cut it, for instance, I can give her some options. We use Premiere, which is a software that really is like, it's like leading software really when it comes to this kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think she was.
You're looking for a software to edit? Is that what you're looking for, Nazira? Because you have, we can use Premiere. If you have a Mac, for instance, you can use a Final Cut Pro. That's a really easy one. There's iMovies. That's an easy one that actually I believe it also comes free with Mac, right? Yeah, let me just finish this here, and I can probably get to answer the questions a bit more in details. Okay, so this setup here, I'm really sorry. I hope he's not watching, but it's one of my friends who actually, this is the setup that he actually has here. And I didn't ask his permission to use it, so I hope he lets me. I hope he forgives me for using it. But this is actually a really cool setup. As opposed to the other ones. What I've been getting for people nowadays that everybody's stuck and they want to actually stream stuff is that they would have like a computer that streams directly to Facebook, another iPhone that streams to Instagram, and another computer that would be sitting here that would stream to like, I don't know, what's the third one? YouTube, for instance, right? And I would always say, like, you spend $1,000 and $1,000, another $1,000, almost $3,000. So to get this kinds of setup all together, but you had you have known, you could have had you have asked, you could have, for instance, invested in a software that does exactly what you actually need to be done for you, right? So the number one question that I always get for people when it comes to streaming, they say, can we stream to multiple platforms at the same time? And yes, you can. It requires a software. It doesn't require hardware. It literally is not about the hardware, right? It's not about the computers or anything like that. Just want a normal camera, you can go ahead and stream it, okay? So what's the benefit of streaming? Live streaming is very powerful. People feel like they're with you. They can interact with you. They can talk to you. I just watched an Instagram live with Mufti Ismail Menk, and man, this man, mashallah, thousands of people who are watching him, and what he does is that he actually interacts with them, and there's this ability for you to actually request to speak to him. And even though he has thousands of people who are following him, watching it itself, he gets to choose who's speaking to him. And then he would ask him, oh, hey, brother, where are you? Oh, you're in Nigeria. Well, how's the weather there? Okay, well, it's very nice. Make dua for me. Okay, the next person, oh, you're in Malaysia. Oh, you're in Canada. And it gives you this amazingness feeling that even though these mashayikh and these teachers and these people whom you trust really in a sense to guide your faith, they're giving you that time of the day, right? Like they like you and they want to be a part of your life and they're checking on you. Like now you can't visit people in their homes. And when I used to be an imam, that was my biggest issue, was the fact that I actually want to go visit people in their homes, but it's difficult. Like you don't have all the time in the world. But what happens when you actually go online and you can speak to each person one at a time. You have a congregation of thousands of people who can speak to you that way, right? But it does have limitations, right? So it can't look polished. Like you can't have like lower thirds. It doesn't look very pleasing all the time. The camera angle, you're holding the camera in front of you. Sometimes it's lower. Sometimes you're looking up and whatever. But that's a part of I think is the authenticity of it in itself, right? And the fact that people like that because it makes you look normal and it makes you look like, like you're connected to them really in a sense, right? Okay, so, and this is the part that I spoke about already. Are you able to go live on multiple platforms? Yes, but you have to understand the difference between the platforms in terms of who goes live where and when, and who and how do you go live on each one of these platforms. So Instagram, for instance, it's a mobile-based app. It's owned by Facebook. Facebook is adamant on the fact that they want it to stay that way. So they won't allow you to, there's workarounds, but it won't even allow you to actually post anything on Instagram unless you're actually doing it through your phone. You can browse, but you cannot post. You cannot make videos unless you're on Instagram. So how do you stream? And people always ask, how do they have these like nice polished like TV style live streams on Instagram. It's easy. It's through a software that you actually have to pay for to do it, right? But that same software itself can actually split the signal itself and give it to YouTube and give it to Facebook and so on. But what you have to understand is that, for instance, there's a landscape in terms of the actual the way it is. For instance, Instagram is vertical versus the other one is horizontal, for instance, right? Like all the other big three, I call them, is horizontal in terms of the actual videos themselves that they actually have. I want to stop here because I do recognize the need to, honestly, for questions and answers, and I did not want to spend this much time anyway speaking. And I can probably stay this way now.
Yeah, there is another question that came in.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second here. Yeah, it says, Sheikh Mamoon, I know of Caster, C-A-S-T-R is how it's spelled.
Yes.
Which allows to stream using your own bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
But are there any affordable softwares that stream to multiple platforms using their bandwidth?
Yes. So there's something called iStream. It's called it's called Restream.io. So go to that. That's software that I personally use. It's really cool. It'll I think the free version allows you to go to stream to a personal page and to a YouTube page. But the paid version, so I think about $29 a month. Honestly, I think it's worth every single dollar of it. I think you even go with the $49 a month if you're a mosque, if you're an organization, and get the one that gives you the full ability to go ahead and restream it. And you can restream it to a huge number of platforms, right? And this is the actual one of the points that I actually want to make, and that I forgot. I think it's crucial now for us to kind of unite ourselves as mosques anyways, and to kind of work together anyways. Before, for instance, each mosque had its own physical space, so it didn't really need to work with anybody else, because once the congregation came together, they came to that mosque, right? But now you're going to the people. So I always say, if you are a mosque, for instance, with the technical ability, approach a mosque with good speakers, and you know what I mean, and kind of work that way. I guess with other people, right? If you're a mosque with young people who are able to give video services, for instance, go ahead and partner up with a bigger mosque that is older school, but it has good scholarship and that need that kind of help, because unity is really crucial at this time. It's really important, especially at times of difficulties, and also because you can do these things from home now. You know what I mean? Like we stream things from home, man. We don't have to go anywhere anymore, right?
Right.
Like I don't know if you're seeing, I don't know if you're actually noticing there's any sort of quality difference in the way that my video is here, for instance, or not. But I'm at home and I'm using just regular streaming services, but there's just certain practices that I'm sticking to that's making it look this look, right?
Let's see here in the chat. But that was Sheikh Dawood that asked that question, by the way, is what it says.
Sheikh Dawood Butt.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. May Allah bless you, Sheikh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you Jannah.
Let's see here. Another person is asking, Assalamu alaikum. What is the best program to broadcast live? And is there a program that saves a copy of the video after it was live?
Yeah, so YouTube saves everything. You can just download it. Don't duplicate the work for yourself. If you're using a camera, go ahead and press record on that camera as you're actually streaming. That's the way to do it, really, in a sense, to save it right on your camera and then stream it at the same time, right? That's really the best way to go about doing anything before you process it, because video goes through a huge processing process. Where it's like it's becoming condensed and it gets all like the signal gets really all messy, right? When it actually goes out there, right? It gets compressed. If you want to save a good quality, go ahead and press it on your actual camera itself. If you're streaming from your computer, for instance, go ahead and actually record it on your computer itself. But yeah, there's lots of softwares that do that. Caster, the one that they were mentioning. There is OBS, which I think is free. Open Broadcasting System, I think is what it's called. There's a whole bunch of them. Like you just go and Google it and you'll find them. I always find that honestly, like paid ones are just a little better because they always provide better feedback. Right? Like you just go and call them and complain like this is not working well for me, and they go ahead and kind of like guide you through it, right?
Yeah.
Wirecast is one that I really Wirecast is one of the ones that I really love using, and that I've gotten really fond of the way that it does work.
Shabir Ali is asking, which streaming software would you recommend for me? I use an Android phone to live post on Facebook at the moment. I want to split the stream so that it goes to YouTube and possibly to Instagram at the same time. Okay.
So there is, first of all, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Shabir. How are you doing? It's been a long time since I've seen you. There is something called Loola.tv. I think it's called LOOLA.tv. That is a software. It's also web-based. And that one allows you to stream to multiple outlets, and I think it's specifically made for Instagram, but it allows you to split the actual signal. So I think he's got it right here, because what he's trying to talk about basically is the fact that when you stream to multiple things from one, it splits the actual channel stuff, and then the quality is terrible. But if you use a good camera, for instance, and you're hooking this camera up right into a computer, and then that computer itself goes into one of these softwares, one of these web-based softwares, then you'll have like an amazing output, right? And also like,
Yeah. Let me see here. Yunus Al-Hatimi is asking, what kind of video are you using right now? And what is the cost? And is there a better quality than this?
What kind of video am I using? I don't understand the question. Like what kind of camera?
I think that's probably what he intended.
Okay. So I am using my personal use camera. Actually, I'm not using anything expensive. This is a Lumix GH5. This camera is really old, man. It's been produced. It was made 2017, which is like in today's world, that's like old. That's long time ago. But it is, again, I can't stress this enough. It's never about the equipment. It's never about the camera, it's always about it's about the person behind the camera. Like do you know how to run the camera? Do you know the limits of the camera itself? Do you know the type of quality that the camera itself produces, and how do you produce it? Do you know the f-stop? Do you know the t-stop? Do you know the ISO levels, all these stuff that you need? And that's why I always say, sometimes I feel bad because I'm trying to teach you guys things that are really complicated, because I don't think everybody should know these things. But the truth of the matter is now we're stuck, so we can't really hire people. So, need to come. Ideally, really what you want to do is you want to hire a video department, people who know what they're doing, and they go ahead and they do this work for you while you actually go ahead and focus on the message. Because I'm going to say this again and all the time. The message is the king. Like you can have the best of video quality, but if your message is terrible, nobody cares. I would never encourage you to actually even do it. But you want to focus on your message. You as the imam, you as the speaker, you as the sheikh, you want to focus on your message, and you want to have somebody else focus on the quality of the product stuff that you're actually having out there. That's what you want to do. You can't do that because really in social isolation, you can't work with people. Then I'm just trying to give you kind of the second best options that you actually have. And you don't need expensive cameras. I know the Logitech, for instance, they have these cameras, a couple of $100, which are absolutely sold out everywhere. I want to actually buy one just to show you guys what it looks like. And it's sold out everywhere because this is just the top, right? But you put that camera on top of your laptop, for instance, you hook it up to your laptop and you face a window. Like I have a nice window here, for instance, during the daytime. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm actually doing here. And then I have like this white, just like a sheet, I guess, really. Then I just put it on top of in front of the camera, the window itself, and immediately the light becomes really nice and soft on me in the morning time. So as soon as I face this way and I put the camera this way, even if it's a webcam, you have good quality lighting that's coming towards you.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have another question coming in. Can you give an idea of good camera angles to use to keep things interesting? Any types of camera movements which will keep the look fresh?
Yeah. I mean, ideally what you want to do is you want to have the camera just a little above people's eye levels. So you're not looking up at them. So like, I think the problem is sometimes when you have the camera looking up at you, when you have the phone, for instance, or you have the phone really close to you. So like you're filling up that, like when a phone, for instance, when it looks into you and you have it this close to your face because you're looking into it, it's just basically kind of looking right into your nose and up, and it's exaggerating the size of your nose. It's exaggerating. What you want to do is you want to have the camera far enough where it zooms in so you look proportioned. Like it's basically kind of what you really want to do. You want to look normal. And I always say pleasing to people is basically what I call not distracting. That's what pleasing is, right? And then, movement has to have a reason. I mean, I remember when I used to go to film school, we used to have a professor who used to always say, if you're just moving that camera for no reason, it's just nonsense. But that's in films, right? But now, for instance, the movement, even when you're shooting anything, if there is no reason for the actual movement itself, like the movement itself should be, for instance, you want to show that the set is in a mosque, is in a masjid, for instance, that you actually have a camera that actually moves from right to the left and so on, right? And there's a couple of options that you can get. There is these motorized slides that slide back and forth. There's the one-man crew. I wish I have mine so I can show you, but that's like a really cool thing. It has like a little curve, so it actually never loses focus over you, and it just moves back and forth, and it keeps it nice and interesting, right? That's cool for interviews and stuff like that. You don't want to look up at anybody, and you don't want to look down at anybody. That's really the only thing that I have in terms of the actual angles. You can get creative, but creativity also has as long as there is some sort of reason for you doing it, and creativity has no laws, man. You do what you want. You do what you want. I will say, do what you want until people tell you they don't like it, then try something else.
Yeah. Let me see here. Sheikh Dawood Butt is asking again. So if we want to stream on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, we would still need 2 devices regardless of using a paid software?
No, you would need only one camera, and that camera would be hooked up to your streaming device, which is your laptop or your computer. That camera itself can be your actual laptop itself. And then you go into, I think I told him to go to Restream. So Restream basically creates this, it duplicates it for you. I don't know if I can actually open up what Restream is doing here for me. And then maybe I can actually show you guys what it looks like. I actually think I can. So let me go here and I'll show you guys. So Restream.io, yeah. And it's really the coolest thing that you can think of. Let me just move this out of the way here, right? But it's just basically you can restream anything. So Sheikh Dawood, once you actually have a way like to get the signal stuff into the actual computer itself, right? So this is the picture. Really explains it perfectly, right? And it's really crazy. Let me actually log in here so I can show you, because it's got like huge, crazy number of things that you can stream to. So it multi-streams. It also schedules stuff for you. So you can actually record something and tell it, listen, schedule this for us at a certain time, or stream this for us at a certain time. I actually want to see how I can get into my account here. Oh, here's my account. There's the account that we have here, for instance. It is for the Islamic Institute of Toronto, because that's my biggest client. But basically, here's how we can actually stream to YouTube, to Periscope, which is basically Twitter, and also to Facebook, right? And then I have this one here that goes to Lula, which is basically our Instagram as well. I don't stream to all of those, but I can stream to all those four right away. At the moment I hit go ahead, right? It comes. And the signal here would just come from the webcam, like whatever webcam that you're actually seeing here. I hope that answers the question. So, I mean, yeah. Does that answer your question, Sheikh Dawood? I hope so.
Yeah, he says yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Next.
I think that is actually all the questions that we have.
Okay, very good, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah feek,
Feeka barak.
We really appreciate you taking the time to come on today and explain all this technical stuff to the rest of us. Alhamdulillah.
And I actually, if you don't mind, I just want to show some things that I have here, because so we can talk about the quality. I don't know how many people that they actually have. So one of the reasons why I actually decided to do this, and I approached Brother Taha here about this, is because the first week after the lockdown, this was the first Friday talk with Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick that we had. And this was live streamed, right? And then someone says like this is like, how did you live stream this? And this was like the second time, because the way that it actually looked, no one believed that it was streamed. But you just look at it and you just immediately realize that there's not much. It's just proper lighting on his face, right? Like a little bit of backdrop lighting, right, for aesthetic, right? And then just a normal lower third, right? And then we streamed it through an actual machine. So it's not really much that is needed off of it, right? But we also have the camera from far away and zoomed in a certain way that makes it look, it just makes him look pleasing, right? In a sense, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I also want to show other examples of other stuff that we can do in terms of production, right? For the Masjids specifically, you don't always have to shoot like with the phone itself. Oh, are you seeing the camera? Okay, you're saying this here. This here, for instance, it's an actual. Yeah, this here is an actual program that we have where there's just like basically very plain. It's just literally a gray piece of paper that we have, for instance, where the Sheikh is actually just speaking right into the camera. But again, proper exposure on the Sheikh's face, right? It speaks like so much about how pleasing it is, right? We've given him light in his face and also given him a backlight to kind of like just separate him from the backdrop a little bit, right? It's really like really simple things that I think just make things really, really cool, right? This here is a program that we have with Sheikh, and this is a conversation based kind of, right? Where we just talk about the hadith, but it's just basically you're sitting down and, and in it, this is the kind of angles that you actually have for whomever was asking about the angles. And it's just to show you, I guess, really who's he talking to and what's happening in this conversation, right? And that's really it. I mean, if anybody really honestly wants to, needs more help in terms of finding out how to go about doing any of these, I'll be more than happy to actually get into it, inshallah, with them.
We did get another question. Okay, let me see here. We got like I think 2 or 3 other questions. Dr. Shabir Ali is asking, how about Zoom meetings if I want to do the debates and stream it?
Yeah, so Zoom is really cool. Again, Zoom is just the software itself, so it won't up your quality of your image if you don't have the proper camera to do it, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like what you capture itself is really crucial. I mean, Dr. Shabir shouldn't have any problems because he has, I think, the equipment to go ahead and to hook up right into his. But then Zoom is basically the software itself that streams it over to you. So this here, for instance, this was streamed through, it wasn't streamed through Zoom, but it was passed on through Zoom. I can't really show it here because I don't know where it is, but it's really good quality. So, all the stuff that we do right now live, for instance, you can stream it through Zoom, and Zoom itself, basically you can point it towards Restream, and Restream, the same software that Sheikh Dawood asked about, and that Restream itself goes ahead and splits it for you. It takes a signal to YouTube, it takes a signal to Twitter, it takes a signal to whatever you actually want it to go to, right? And there's by the way, streaming services, we're only talking about the 4 because those are the big 4, but there's like hundreds of them.
Yeah. We got another question for that. What are the tools that you use to get the lower third info? Anything to put nice text on the screen for recorded videos?
Yeah, so for recorded videos, there's lots that you can make them on your own. Like if you actually have like an editing system, I think every single editing system comes with some sort of lower thirds ability. every single one of them. If not, there are services, there are paid services that you can actually go and get a membership. I'm showing you guys all my secrets. I don't know if this is going to be good later on. You guys might not hire me if I tell you where everything is, but let's look at, for instance, there's something called elements in Battle, and actually, we as a company, we pay for this, right, as a service. But this is basically broadcasting elements that you can just purchase, right? So you say lower thirds. Just trying to help you guys here. I think I misspelled it. That's why it won't. That's terrible. Okay, lower thirds. Yeah. And you see as video templates here, it'll show you all the lower thirds that you can get. Right. So this here, for instance, is a package that gives you this many lower thirds and this many lower thirds, and you just kind of look for it, or you can make them, but I know who I'm speaking to. So we're not really speaking to like broadcasting experts, and even broadcasting experts, they actually just buy these lower thirds because it just costs a lot less. It'll take me a day to make them, for instance, while if I can just buy them for $30 or $40, for instance, it's just easier, right? Much easier.
Yeah. We had another question. What camera did you use for the live stream of Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick?
Yeah, again, it is just my old GH5, the same camera that I'm using right now to stream this for you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly it is my oldest camera, but it's certainly my favorite. I don't go to anything else but this camera right now. It shoots 4K. I haven't shot 4K with it yet in anything. Like you don't stream with live with 4K. That's just crazy talk. I mean, we don't even shoot 4K with it really in a sense because even like cinemas now their highest standards are 2K, right? I think people always get too excited for the number, but then you're just basically clogging your internet. You have to also realize that if you're streaming something, you want to give the streaming service itself a signal that's easy for them to to process, right? And just 1080 is more than sufficient.
Yeah, and I think that's it as far as questions go. Once again, just barakallah feek. Thank you.
Allah yahfazak, may Allah bless you, inshallah.
It's incredibly informative, very beneficial, alhamdulillah. Again, thank you so much for all of the audience members for tuning in. Thank you so much. I just have a couple of announcements real quick before everybody go. We do have upcoming webinars, our Friday khutbahs, the virtual khutbahs, coming up after tomorrow. The first one is at 1 p.m. Eastern, given by Brother Taha Ghayur, Vice President of Sound Vision. And that will be, at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. Second one will be by the President of Sound Vision, Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid, at 1 p.m. Central Time. Again, that's 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And the third one is at 1 p.m. Pacific by Dr. Ahmed Murad. Once again, that's 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. Central Time. Jazakumullah khairan once again, everyone. Barakallahu feekum. And thank you so much once again, Brother Mamoon, as well.
Barakallahu feek. Allah yahfazak.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.